It's 91 days and 13 weeks to the general elections. Hello, good morning, and welcome to News Desk here on your Journey channel on Multi TV. This bulletin is also available on your Govt TV channel 144 and your DSTV channel 421. Coming up, Institute of Democratic Governance calls for the active involvement of politicians at the local level to deepen the democratic process. How exactly? We'll find out here on News Desk. Also ahead, Christian Council to remain the voice of the voiceless despite attacks on its former chairman, Reverend Professor Mate. Today on News Desk, we hear from the new chairman of the council. We have details of these stories and a lot more coming up in the next hour here on News Desk. My name is Kwabna Chenche Hineboati. Many thanks for joining us. So our very first story this hour, and the Institute of Democratic Governance IDEG is proposing a new reformed local governance system which will see political parties play a more active role at the district level than has been the case over the years. IDEG believes such a devolution will address particularly apathy in elections at the district level. Now, the Institute is of the view the active participation of political parties at the level, that's the district level, will enhance accountability and deepen the governance process.
Research fellow at the Institute of Democratic Governance, Kwesi Jonas, speaking at a public conversation organized by the Institute, said the devolution will significantly reduce tensions during presidential and parliamentary elections and also provide accountability.
If we allowed political parties to enter the general elections, tension in the national elections will go down considerably. Inclusiveness and accountability will be greatly enhanced because no party will be excluded, and chief executives will be directly accountable to the people in the districts. The renewal of the chief executive's mandate will be directly dependent on the people's voting power, and no party will be left out in the competition for control of the districts. Ghana's democracy will take a crucial giant step forward. This level development will also take a big leap forward as parties compete to bring more development to the districts under their control, with the prospect that this will help them win the next presidential and parliamentary election. The benefits of a competitive party-based local government system are endless. Another major issue that we should look at in our present local government system is the huge voter apathy that has been recorded from election to election. The average turnout in the district level elections under 40%, whereas in the national elections over 80%. The truth of the matter is that turnout at this level is so low because the political party, which is the crucial mechanism for mobilizing voters to the polls, is absent. There's nobody there to mobilize the voters. There's nobody there to raise the issues. There's nobody there to raise the debate. And that is why local government elections have this very low turnout. Now, in recognition of this and other major challenges in our present local government system, IDEG is proposing to fellow countrymen, but especially to political parties, MPs, government, and civil society organizations alike, a new reformed local government system with the following characteristics. One, the new reformed local government system that we are proposing will have an elected chief executive directly elected by the people and on the ticket of the party. Two, district level elections should be open to political parties. Three, election, all members of the assembly should be elected.
Speakers at the public conversation shared blueprints from their native country experiences from which Ghana could draw useful lessons. A Kenyan policy analyst and social accountability advisor at World Vision UK, Donald Mogeni, is of the view concerted efforts and sacrifices from the Ghanaian people could provide the foundation for starting the process like the Kenyan model.
Had very good deliberations. We've managed to share the Kenyan experience on devolution, and I think we've also succeeded in laying ground for some of the possible considerations that Ghana can consider. But most importantly, I mean, we've looked at various recommendations, key among them the election of local level representatives, which is, I mean, a remarkable departure from the current ones who are selected and appointed by central government, but also strengthening political parties to be involved in democratic governance at local level. It was a very difficult and long journey, I must say. It's taken decades, and many Kenyans have paid for it both with their blood and sweat. But in 2007, 2008, was a very strong constitutional moment where we had the opportunity to have discussions on the way forward for the country. This culminated in a referendum in 2010 in which, I mean, a new constitution was adopted, and this then provided opportunities for devolution. Now, but passing devolution is one thing within the laws. The next and the hardest bit is actually its implementation. Kenya is now 3 years into the process of devolving, and even with after 3 years, there's still quite a number of challenges of coordination, issues of public finance management, issues of inclusion. I think we're still grappling with those, and it will take some time before they all bed in as had been proposed in the Constitution.
Meanwhile, political marketing lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Kobe Mensah, believes a change to the current system ties into the general needs and concerns of the people.
First of all, I think that such process is very crucial, because we have actually been talking about looking for developmental political parties. Like, how do we make sure that our political parties respond to the needs of the people? And if that is what we want, then I think that it's a matter of urgency that we start devolving power to the very base. And that doesn't mean that everything else will be devolved. Of course, there are big decisions, and like I explained, issues about regionalization, whether we want to be part of ECOWAS or want to be part of AU, wouldn't be left to that level. It will be left still at the center. Certain services will still be provided by the center. Security issues, you cannot devolve them. I think these are very, very crucial steps that we must take as people if we want to have very developmental, political system and move forward this nation. I think these are some of the crucial things that I was part of the processes of getting people's views. I think my organization actually worked on soliciting views, of people and then feeding it into. And there was a kind of a greater sense that people wanted to make sure that government reflect on the base, i.e., are we able to get the district level to respond to the needs as opposed to always looking at the center to provide. And I think they have actually been captured in the constitutional review in the process that has just been ended. But the final draft, I think, must actually be moved on. So I'm not sure why it's delaying, but I think that it's essential that we push it forward.
IDEG's democratic devolution proposal forms part of the Institute's resolve to lead a conversation which will subsequently lead to the change in constitutional reforms to foster multi-party democratic governance. The conversation was under the theme Strengthening Democratic Development through Multi-Party-Based Local Government, South Africa, Kenya and Ghana in focus.
Dr. Eric Odrosan is a local governance expert, and he's joining us on phone now with some thoughts on this issue. There's been a conversation around this with many suggesting that, well, it's high time we rather decentralize the system to get a lot more political activation down there so that we're able to deepen the governance process. Let's find out from him, really, his position on this, whether or not it's indeed the right way to go and how the country can benefit from this. He's joining me on phone now with some thoughts on this. Dr. Odrosan, good morning. Many thanks for joining us here on News Desk, sir. Okay, it appears we've lost him on the line there. If we're able to raise him again, we'll bring back to you that very conversation. But away from that now, and the Christian Council of Ghana has vowed to remain the voice of the voiceless, despite numerous attacks on it and its outgoing chairman, Reverend Professor Emmanuel Mate. The outgoing chairman of the council and former moderator of the Presby Church has received a barrage of insults for his comments suggesting some politicians in the country tried to bribe him to shut him up. Now, he also alleged that the Deputy Interior Minister, James Agaga, at one point in time also tried lobbying for him to chair the National Peace Council, all in an attempt to get him to remain silent. Now, many have criticized him for the comments, with some saying the clergy should be more focused on its core mandate of preaching salvation rather than meddling in politics. But the new chairman of the council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujemfi, tells Joy News the council will remain the voice of the voiceless, even amid the several attacks from some politicians. Take a listen.
We need to understand ourselves and to understand the role of the church and the role of the politician. Much as the politicians serve the state, I believe that they also need to understand that the church is also serving a certain constituency. If you look at the fact that 71% of this country is made up of Christians and close to 20 or a little over are Muslims, we are looking at the fact that religion plays a major role in this country. And the church and also religion has contributed a lot in terms of our nation building. We can go back, way back to 1529 when education began in this country. It was by the church. You know, we built all these educational institutions and we still have. If you look at health, if you go to our rural areas now, mission hospitals are carrying over 40% of hospitals in the rural areas. We have provided in several things. If I look at my own denomination, we run hospitals, we do borehole projects in villages, we have used our facilities as community centers and other things for various places. We keep on doing it. We have orphanages, we have vocational schools, we introduced the Trokosi project into this country. Even though we've been in the background, nobody knows that Baptists were the leaders in this whole thing. No, we've done a lot in terms of what we do to develop this country. So the politicians should understand the role of the church. We have just become the voice of the voiceless. And daily, we as pastors and as religious leaders have direct encounter with people. After work, they come to church, they raise their complaints. The market is difficult, this is not there, that is not there. We hear all these things. So you go to rural settings, you see roads, you see rural water problems, you see electricity problems, you see dilapidated schools, you see all these things. So when we are speaking as heads of churches, it is because of what we have seen, what we have heard, and the things that we have observed. So I believe that politicians will be served very well if they are patient enough to listen to us as partners with them, so that the things we point out to them is not just to criticize them, but to draw their attention to the difficulties of our own people.
Do you think they are being too hard on you?
Well, sometimes they are. And I believe that is the inability to listen. You know, most of the issues we have raised sometimes are not placed in context. We're supposed to be bold. And Moses admonished Joshua, be strong and be bold. You know, our call to this profession requires a certain boldness. Even though you may be soft-spoken, you may be an introverted person, but you need a certain strength within to be able to stand, because we are taking care of people. And if you don't have that kind of boldness, you can't be able to stand. So the insults may be there, criticisms may be there, people will be bashing us left and right, but we still have to be bold. The other thing is that if you take some of these things personally, then the temptation is for you to feel like I'm being attacked. No, it's a statement I put out, and people are attacking that statement. So I leave it as a statement and not as an individual. And if you can put yourself in that state, you will be able to withstand most of the things that are going on.
You're watching News Desk here on your Journey channel on Multi TV. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll tell you a pretty interesting story from the Eastern region where a 49-year-old ex-convict is in the grips of the Koforidua Efiduase District Police Command. I'll tell you why in a bit. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying here on News Desk. Now to that very story I was telling you about just before the break. And a 49-year-old ex-convict is in the grips of the Koforidua Efiduase District Police Command for attempting to send parcels of dried leaves suspected to be Indian hemp to some inmates of the Koforidua prison. Paul Ashley, who is 49, like I said earlier, was on his way to deliver the banned substance, was apprehended by some prison officials following a tip-off. We are told that he was handed over to the police after interrogation. But let's try and get a lot more from our correspondent who has been following up on this issue. And joining me on phone now is Edwin Kofi Siao with those details. Kofi, good morning. Many thanks for joining us. Kofi, can you tell us really what this story is all about? It appears it's a bit weird, but you have the information. Really, what's the story?
Well, this man is a 49-year-old man. Like he said, he lives in Nkrakai. It's a suburb of Koforidua here in the Eastern region. And he was arrested yesterday by some officials of the Koforidua prisons. And according to a source at the prisons, the guy was coming to the prisons to deliver the banned substance, that is the Indian hemp, when he was arrested on his way.
And this is an ex-convict you're talking about? Exactly.
I'm told he's an ex-convict, but was pardoned by the president through the amnesty thing that they do every year.
Yeah.
So he is an ex-convict. They know him very well at the prisons in Koforidua. He was actually an inmate of the Koforidua prison himself. So when he was apprehended, he was interrogated and handed over to the police. But a source at the prisons also tells me that the guy also claimed that a prison official hired him and paid him an undisclosed amount of money to buy the substance from Nkrakai and deliver it to him at the prison service. But he was arrested on his way. But the prison officials, as at now, have been tight-lipped on the issue, and they are not forthcoming with information. But the district police commander in Efiduase, ASP Dan Yaro, this morning confirmed the story to me. According to him, the police have just had the story and they have begun investigations into the whole issue.
So this ex-convict who was granted presidential pardon through the amnesty deal leaves prison and says he's been contracted by a prison official to go buy some weed for him.
That is his claim.
Interesting, though. Anyway, okay, we'll see how this very story pans out subsequently. But many thanks for that update. And that was our Eastern Regional Correspondent, Edwin Kofi Siao, bringing us a lot more on that very, should I say, hilarious story. But we'll be bringing you a lot more on this. We'll be following it keenly, and we'll bring you some more later on. But let's do some more now. And government has ordered for shipping lines to withdraw the terminal handling charges introduced at the country's ports in August. This follows recent agitations by several business associations against the charges. Now, in a statement, the Transport Minister, Fifi Kwete, is charging shipping lines to abide by the directive to enhance harmony in the shipping industry in Ghana. According to the statement, the ministry took the action after perusing a report on the matter from the Ghana Maritime Authority. The ministry said the charges cannot apply because there are a number of elements, including stevedoring cost and pilotage, which culminate in the freight price quoted by shipping lines. This latest development has come as a big relief to importers and exporters in Ghana who have been peeved about implementing the terminal handling charge. But does the action by the ministry bring closure to all concerns raised by the association and other stakeholders? Well, joining me on phone now is Samson Asaki Wingobet. He's Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. He joins me on phone now. Mr. Wingobet, good morning. Many thanks for joining us here on News Desk, sir.
Good morning, my brother, and good morning to your general listeners.
Right. So this obviously comes to you as a huge relief, does it not?
Well, if you look at the intro, it is yes. If you look at the end tail of it, where the minister says, they have the liberty to introduce on freight. Somehow there's a sparkling debate on that because some shipping companies are now asking importers in the country. As of yesterday, the signals IDEG that, okay, if your country say we will not collect this money in the country, then tell your exporter. Exporter means if the goods is coming from France, your supplier there who supplying you goods in Ghana, ask him to pay before we release your documents to you. So, but in the north, let me say that a half loaf of bread is better than none. We respect our minister and we honor our minister, and then we think that the minister has taken a swift response of the business community.
Let's take a look at that substantive issue of terminal handling charges, this very issue. I mean, how much of a problem was it for yourself and indeed your association?
It was a big problematic in the sense that, my brother, as you do know anyway, because I do speak fast, but when I'm going fast, please can you hold me, draw my attention so that I will be able to educate your listeners. The point here is that terminal handling charge should be a charge that comes with a service that you are rendering to the business community, for that matter, the shippers or the importers and exporters in the country. If it's shipped in the port or when they get to the quay, those who remove the containers and say, okay, GPG, that is for that matter, the landlord, that is the port and harbor authority, will say, okay, this vessel has called Tema Port. You have come up with containers. These containers are for cars. Okay, cars containers, all cars have to go to Save-Bond. So for that matter, all the containers that came with cars have to be taken to Save-Bond. Save-Bond is a terminal. Then the Save-Bond, be it Save-Bond has their own trucks or not, maybe GPG has the trucks, or they will look for transporter who will bring the trucks into the port, and the GPG will now award that contract or allocate that vessel to a company that will know them to be stevedoring companies. So a stevedoring company will do the evacuation of all those container cars and say, okay, these cars have to go to Save-Bond. So all the drivers that pick the containers from the vessel straight to Save-Bond. And when they get to Save-Bond, Save-Bond will definitely also have a machinery. Those machines that will take off the container from the car and stop it and put it on a good position until the importer goes through the legal requirements to pay duties and other things. Then he goes to the shipping line for us to release your documents so that you can go and take your car out of the port at Save-Bond. That is what we call terminal handling charge. When a container gets to Save-Bond and Save-Bond put the container on the ground and put some other container on top, and the person on container on top is already take the container, and the one container on the ground first comes and says, I have finished everything, I'm here to take my container. Then the Save-Bond machinery will come and take off the container on top of my container, put it down somewhere, move the container that is ready to go, and then reposition my container back until I come to pay my duty and come for my container. That is what the movement of container within the port enclave, that's what we call terminal handling. And so for that matter, if that is the services, then shipping company does not come near here. They don't render any new services to any shipper or any importer in the country or any exporter.
Okay.
Handling of equipment, machinery in the port, or evacuating container from the port outside the terminals is not been done by shipping line. Shipping line does not own any machinery in the port. It is only the terminal operation. Terminals are like, we have TCT container terminals owned by Azuma Banda or so. We have the ACS terminals, we have Golden Jubilee, then we have other terminals that are private-owned terminals. Some of them have their machinery as much as some of the stevedoring companies also have their machinery, including GPH, who has also invested. I quite remember you monitored when the president came to port quite recently, somewhere August, to commission a lot of projects, including Asamoah, who is the TUC General Secretary, happened to work with GPH some years ago, rose from junior rank to become a unionist, and now he's the Secretary General for TUC, Ghana Trade Union Congress. It's because he has worked with GPH for some time. There was one of the machinery that GPH acquired was named under him. So these are machinery. It does not belong to shipping company. So you talk of them charge. Shipping company gets want to take undue advantage of importers and gets introduced such a charge and pick it. And they are using Ghana as a case study. Who have gotten complaints from Togo. They went to Togo, Ghana has accepted. They went to Africa, they say Ghana. We have never accepted. If we had accepted, we wouldn't have advocated, we would have agitated that it got to the ministries, and the ministry, even on the 10th of last month, August, had held a meeting with us and suspended the policy. And big companies like Bakeline, Gemadi, others refused to abide by it. They did not go ahead to implement it. But companies like PIL, MLC were still collecting the money from shippers and said, oh, we don't take instructions from the Ministry of Transport. And we went back to the ministry again. Now the ministry have referred the issue to Ghana Maritime Authority, which you all know that per the act of that established Ghana Maritime Authority made them to do regulatory industry, they regulate the industry, maritime industry in the country. And so they came out with a report, and on Friday, on the 3rd or 2nd or so, the ministry had come out with its final decision that you cannot take third charge in Ghana.
Okay, so that's the position of the ministry now. And for you, exactly. I'm sure you're very happy, your members are happy, but for me, the ordinary Ghanaian who just exports or imports things, so for instance, if I choose to import a car, how am I likely to benefit from this new move?
Yes, your benefit is that if your car came in the 20-footer container and you were supposed to pay, look at, you know, in Ghana here, after paying for it to bring in your car or to import your car to Ghana, you go to the shipping line for them to release your documents for you to go and take your car home. They will tell you there are other charges like cleaning of container, evacuations, what they will tell you, you pay administrative charge, you pay to them. Then they will tell you to pay additional charge called terminal handling charge. So if your car were sitting in a 40-footer container, they would have charged you $160. Or if you come from France, they would have charged you, or the European countries, those who pay euro, they have charged you €160 or €165. That is the money you will no longer pay again. That's what we are talking about.
I see. Mr. Gov't, many thanks for your time on News Desk this morning, but I do know you still have some issues with this directive. You think this is just a temporary thing just to get yourself and your members to just be calm for now?
What we are calling that is that we respect the Minister of Transport.
Okay.
We respect the decision that he brought. It is about freight. It's about freight. If you are bringing a car from U.S., there are so many shipping lines from U.S. calling to Ghana. You will go and look for the company that has in charge, terminal charge there for you to pay. You go and negotiate. You have the liberty to do negotiation. But what the shipping company were trying to do in Ghana, they were ambushing us. They had brought everybody. It's like you go to Parliament and just like a minority leader wants something to go through, or a majority leader wants something to go through for them to approve for them. They whip everybody, call it whipping. So they whip all the shipping lines who are even not ready to charge terminal charge. They should charge. That was a compulsory on the neck of importer or exporter. Now we have fought for it, and we think that all associations, be it AGI, Chamber of Commerce, Importer and Export Association, Ghana Union of Traders, all of us, food and beverages, NFA, Federation of Export, Ghanaian Exporters, all of us have come together to make sure that we fight. There are certain charges that we think it's only Ghana that these shipping companies are making unduly advantage. Taking undue advantage on importer and exporter, taking their money, including the Ghana Shippers Authority. We want everybody, all of us, to come together and fight and make sure that Ghanaian importer and exporter has the liberty to do business, and nobody can squeeze you and take your money without any rendering any services to you. So that is the good news that we think we should come together to fight for a good cause for the shippers in the country. Yes.
News Desk, and Samson Asaki Gov't is the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association. He's been on the phone with us, telling us a lot more about that very issue of terminal handling charges. Well, they're pretty excited about it, and it means for you and I on the outside, we are having to save as much as $200 or €200 per every handling of those containers at the various ports. You're still watching News Desk here on the Joy Nation on Multi TV. Before we go for our next break, the Ashanti Regional Minister, John Alexander Kong, is encouraging Ghanaians to create artificial tourism sites to boost the sector. Now, he says such attractions can be promoted alongside natural facilities to create employment and improve local economies. Mr. Kong was speaking at the 11th Regional Tourism Award ceremony at Obuasi in the Ashanti region.
The regional minister cited outmoded and abandoned equipment in mining communities as potential avenue to explore. Others are Old Parliament House and Fishing Harbour, Salaga Slave Market in the northern region. Mr. Akon says individuals and corporate institutions can take up the challenge separately or go into partnership in such initiatives.
And finally, to the Flagstaff House, where the first president, Kwame Nkrumah, used as his office and currently housing the current president, John Dramani Mahama. Is this not a full tourist attraction from an open bus if you want today? I therefore urge you to see artificial tourism as an alternative.
The minister also urged players in the hospitality industry to place a premium on promotion of local cuisines. He says this will require improvement in the quality of traditional catering services,
as well as the stakeholders in the tourism industry, to strive to equally promote our local cuisine. We should also try to improve the quality of our traditional catering establishments, which are popularly referred to as chobas.
The theme for this event was Excellence in Service Delivery, Key to Sustainable Tourism. Regional Manager of Ghana Tourism Authority, Eko Samson, hinted of a national exercise to train operators for enhanced service delivery.
The government, through the Ministry of Tourism and the Ghana Tourism Authority, is organizing training program, nationwide training program, to help us upgrade the skills of all the tourism activities. And I think it's very important, very critical, because that is the way forward if we want to move Ghana tourism forward.
Award recipients included multimedia groups Insure FM, which for the third time emerged tourism-oriented radio station of the year.
The 2016 Tourism-Oriented Media of the Year Award, radio, goes to Insure FM, Kumasi.
What I would say is that Insure FM is the first point of call when you come to Ashanti region. We've been able to position the brand in such a way that you would really understand the best radio practices in the region. And in terms of events and outdoors, we've done a lot. That is why we've won this award. So I'm so excited for my brand becoming the best tourism media house in the region.
Joy News spoke with some of the award winners.
We have been recognized for being the best drinking bar in Ashanti region.
Gifts of nature and God gives as tourist attraction, which we have not explored.
Okay, your work is how to talk to the people. I'm a nice voice and penny almost services, so you're good.
You're watching News Desk here on your Joy News Alone Multi TV. We're taking another break. When we come back, we'll bring you some business updates. Stay on.